Lucia is here. She is finally out. Our S rank either support from the Spook Shack faction is here. Our GOAT, our queen, and our savior. This guide is going to go over talking about what you should build for, some team comps, some W drive options, and what you're sort of looking at doing with her at this point if you're going to head and pull the banner for that just released here in 2.3, or whether or not you should wait until later on in a couple more patches to get the full Spook Squad ready to go. All right, let's dive right into Lucia here. Now, with going up first on Lucia is that she is very going to be HP dominant. We're going to go over her abilities here in a second here. But basically, her core stack is that you're going to want to get the HP up to get a lot of different bonuses activated. With her passive, some of her special attacks, and basic attacks as well. That's what's going to buff your team as a whole based off of her HP scaling. And that's what we're going to want to focus on. Now, starting with her passive, like I said, she is going to go ahead and gain dream points. The way she's going to gain these dream points based off the bar here is that you're going to use your basic attacks and your special attack ability, gaining up to 25 to 30, sometimes a little bit more based on where you are ranking wise. And when you get all your dream points accumulated up to 100, you enter the dream state, which will go ahead and activate some whims and harmonies that we'll go over a little bit later as well. But pretty much while you're in the dream state, you get sort of a damage buff increase. So it increases by, in this case, at the default level, 11.7% for 12 seconds. And then there sort of repeats triggers based on duration. And while she's in the dream state, as you swapped out, a couple of your team's abilities can go ahead and trigger an additional attack caused by her, even though she's not in the main focus. And being able to swap in and out and get that extra damage to stack something like Anomoly stats. Now with this, you're going to want to pretty much try and focus on keeping that dream state active as much as possible with that damage buff. Because getting that damage buff, you get to go ahead and be able to stack your abilities as much as possible and sort of utilize that damage in the dream state. If you're not in the dream state anymore, which as you can already tell outlined here by the edge of the screen, you want to try and swap through and activate the dream state ability again. So you're going to get back into it and then swap back to your main DPS and sort of keep up that core rotation going throughout the combat period. Now let us go ahead and get into our basic rotation here. First thing, I'm going to put her in our main roster slot. She's going to be number 1. Just so when she comes out right away, I'm going to use her basic attack, deal that ether damage, and get sort of up to those dream points. The regular 5 attack rotation on start will get you into the dream state almost instantly. And then after that, swapping in and out of her dream state going over with basic attack is where you're going to want to pretty much be. And once you're able to do that, you want to go on over it into her EX special. And with her special, you're going to go ahead and they have a couple different abilities here. You can press the attack to activate the whim, and when it's activated, you get the figure that flashes forward, dealing either damage, gain 20 dream points upon using it. And then if you have enough energy to use it right off sort of with the regular basic ability, you go ahead and activate the figure again, dealing a massive damage with either damage and then getting a couple of different benefits. One of which is gaining max HP, get a couple different sheer force bonuses, increase the sheer force up to a maximum based off your HP reset, and then you go ahead and get 60 dream points if you're not in the dream state. And just so you know, you are invulnerable when using this skill. And going into your ultimate, you have a couple different options here. You have the one, if you're in the dream state, you sort of get the either while Wellspring active and increase the duration of this. But if you're not in the dream state, you instantly enter the dream state upon activation, and then you will gain or re-enter it as well next time you exit it. So there's a way you can go ahead and sort of semi-stack the dream state ability with the ultimate. And ultimate's pretty interesting. It's not bad. You get to go ahead and charge with a little ethereal figure going through a bunch of people, getting some stun abilities and dealing either damage around them, and then triggering a quick assist. And then this is where sort of the core rotation as a whole comes in. You're going to be cycling through these 3 different abilities, and then you're going to want to go ahead and keep on triggering her EX special, which then triggers a quick assist, switching over your DPS and getting all the buffs onto your DPS character, which you have about 3 different buffs that you can go ahead and utilize with them. You get to increase the max PP, increase the damage used with them, and I think it's also increased the sheer damage as well. So using those buffs onto your main DPS character to try and melt down the competition as you go through whatever type of content you're trying to clear. Now, talking to her skills, there's a couple different areas you want to focus. Pretty much you want to go ahead and level up her passive. The passive is always going to be your main stat and focusing going forward. It's pretty much going to fuel the entire reason why you're playing her as a support. Secondly, what you want to go into is that we want to level up your special attack. The special attack is going to be pretty much where you're going to be focusing a lot of your triggers for your ether damage and your harmonies. You go ahead and get the most value out of that. Then we go into our chain attacks or our ultimate for those, depending on how you want to refer to. Basic attack and our assist, and then near the end is dodge. You're pretty much going to be swapping in and out very frequently because you want to go ahead and get into that dream state. And getting into that dream state is generally going to trigger these passives, trigger these other abilities, and then get the most value as playing her into that support role that you're able to go through. Lullaby. Again, this is HP stacking. It gets us the energy regen 20%. And then as support characters using the special attack ability, which does increase damage for all your squad members. So further buffing your entire squad as a whole as you try and get the attack bonuses based off of her passive and her ultimate ability. And then going into her pretty much her W drive, as long as you're in a free to play, I mean, I pulled a couple of these Kaboom the cannons inside of the banner, so it sort of gets that energy gen plus 20%. If you're spending money, get her dedicated W drive by all means. But if you're sort of in that free to play area, going with the Kaboom the cannon is perfectly fine. Pretty much the main stat here. You want that energy stat of the energy regen to be buffed, and this will sort of keep on playing into the game plan that you're trying to go forward with. Now there is the secondary option in the W drive. You have the unfettered game ball, which is this one here. Still getting that energy that we talked about before. Like I said, this is going to be pretty much where your main focus is going to be, is between those two and trying to get those stacked as much as possible. There's a couple of these, like I said, in the banner. Last I checked, the unfettered game ball is part of your weekly or the monthly pass. So if you're doing the pass, by all means, go ahead and try and get that going as quick as possible here, and get that going as quick if you can. All right, now let's talk about some team comps here. We have Lucian, we have Manato, and then we're going to put Lycaon in here as sort of a stunner. The start is sort of going to be varied based on whatever stunner you have into your team comp, because she does go ahead and boost other the spook characters, as well as boosting your other stunners as well. So pretty much where you want to go ahead and try and focus, you're going to build this around this initial team comp here. Not my most favorite. Manato is a very difficult character to play through. We're not going to break down too much into his kit just yet, but just know this is one of the team options that are available to you if you want to try and clear some higher end content. And the next team comp I worked with here, I use Lucian, I use Jane, I use Seth. Seth, sorry, not Seth. I like this team comp a little bit more. It's sort of one of my second favorite team comps. It's a little bit different. It's more of an anomaly based team comp because you get to go ahead and buff up Jane Doe with a little bit of the combat abilities, getting the extra triggers with the special attack bonus, which then gets you go ahead and prompt anomalies as well as disorders. This comp has been super fun for me, but granted, my Jane Doe does have a little bit of a W drive buff. So do know I do have the signature W drive for Jane Doe. But this was one of my more fun team comps. I recommend trying it out. If you want to try something a little bit different, depending on the S tier characters you have. It's also into that free A slot. It's not a stun character, but it is sort of a nice little supporting character to go ahead and try and get that little bit of a bonus effect. And then finally, going back to one of the original banners I used to run, I mean, I still run the Ice Comp daily. I put her in with Ellen as well as Lycaon, trying to build up with that ice damage buff as a whole. Again, this comp is also really good. My Ellen is sort of a level 60, so it's a little bit of a difference in terms of levels. But this comp was pretty good as a whole. Get to go ahead and buff switching back into your Ellen, getting a little bit of that bonus ice damage as you go through the combat chain, and keeping a little bit extra damage as you're going to see throughout a little bit of this video. But it's really, really fun. Now, a couple of budget options if you don't have Lycaon. You can work with Ambi if you have the characters as stun. You can sort of use them. You can use, I'm trying to think more depending on what you want to look into that free-to-play area. And about a peer-to-play gain stance, you can go with the Manato. You're going to get part of the rolling for Lucia, but you get a free Manato. You want to end the storylines. You can mix in something like Pan. Pan could be used as another support character going double support. Using Manato as your main DPS carry throughout the entire team comp is one of the options that you have available to you. So keep that in mind when you're going through and building it. You really want to try and get a really hyper carry, low strong carry DPS in the slot when it's a double like support team comp to mix with this pairing as a whole. So that's it for this little guide. Now it sort of comes down to, is it worth it? Is it not worth it? What do you want to roll for? And the question is, maybe. She's really strong if you have a good couple of hard DPS carries to pair with her. If you have a really good Rupture team, you can go with them. You could future-proof a little more because you do have the next banner dropping in about November 5th area. So you're going to pull and build a full Spook Squad team and try that. It's looking really good on the beta environment. But you can also save. You have a Vivian reroll banner open right now at the time of this recording. Try and pull for Vivian. Vivian going fits into a couple more team comps as a whole as well. So that sort of takes you where you want to sort of save resources. You could also fully skip the banner. It's completely up to you based on what you have in your team comp you have. Let me know though in the comments about what team comps you have, what team comps you're thinking about with her, and we can go ahead and see what we can work on together. I'm always happy to help out and see what we could do. I'm not a pro. I'm playing this game for fun, and I'm hoping you're enjoying it with me. Well, with that being said, everyone, I'm Summoner Rav. I hope you enjoyed watching this video. I'll catch you all next time. Peace.